Hello and welcome to another Squeaker Chimp tutorial, and this is part of a series in which we're going to be looking at black beads. For this one I've already pre-rolled some black tube beads which I have here. They're just some black scrapbooking paper that I have rolled up to make a tube bead, and what we're going to be doing is using some bleach, just the normal stuff that you would have around your home, which I've decanted into one of these small needle nose bottles for safety, and we're going to be using that to decolour our beads. And we're going to be applying the colour onto the black paper. And then at the end I might also use some alcohol inks just to add a little bit extra colour back onto it. Okay, so let's try and use the bleach on a spare piece of paper just so that we can see how it flows, how it's going to come out, what kind of pressure we need to put on, is it going to spread lots? So I'm just going to start by doing some dots, and then I'm going to do some zigzags. I'm going to try with some swirls. It's a good idea to practice on a scrap piece of paper first, just to give yourself some ideas on what kind of things you might like. I'm going to do a flower. So you want to know how much pressure you need to apply to the side of the bottle. You don't want it to come spreading out too fast. So you can see here, this is me just practicing, trying to get a small dot of the bleach to come out. Trying to go for something a little bit more sort of Aztec, geometric, some triangles, filling it in. And you can already see that the ones that I've done over on the left hand side, already the colour has started to fade on those ones, but you can also see how much it has spread. So it's a good idea to practice this technique on a scrap piece of paper first. Okay, so now we've practiced, I think now we can get on and have a go with the real beads. Okay, so I've got my real bead and I've got my bottle of bleach, and I'm going to have a go at adding on some bleach. So I'm just going to zoom in so you can see it up close. Obviously you need to be careful when handling bleach, and if you want to wear gloves, do. If you want to wear a respirator or whatever it's called, do. So just be careful. I have no intention of getting this on my hands whatsoever. But I'm just going to go through and I am just going to add some small dots of the bleach onto my bead. I'm going to try and aim for a variety of sizes, so maybe some bigger dots, some smaller dots, evenly spread them out. And I'm just going to twist my bead as I go. Now the thing to note is that it will make your bead wet. So you first of all need to have made sure that you have definitely stuck it down properly. But also you don't want to have glazed it or put glue on the paper, because otherwise the bleach won't affect it. So as you can see, as we've come back round to the front, you can already see that the colour is starting to fade already, which I think is just such a cool look. And it's quite fun to see it in front of your eyes changing colour. And what I've got for you next is a bit of a sort of speeded up version of it, so that you can see how much it changes in reality. This probably took all of about maybe sort of 4 or 5 minutes for these colours to really fade, but it's just quite a fun way of looking at it. Okay, so I've now done all of the beads, so they're all done. And I think they look fantastic. They kind of remind me a little bit of maybe an animal, or maybe a sort of rock, like a sort of fancy rock or mineral. Yeah, I think they look really good. I'm really liking them. But you can see here that some of the paper has started to lift up where it was joined. So I just need to go back and add a little bit more glue and just stick that down. But you do want to make sure this dries off thoroughly. So do give it a good couple of days to completely dry before you go adding anything else to it. Okay, so now my beads are completely dry. I'm going to take one of them and I'm going to add some colour back onto them. So what I've got is I've got some gold, some pink and some blue alcohol inks, and I'm only going to do it on one of them because I just want to give you an idea of a different technique that you can try and apply to your beads. So I'm just going to use the end of a cocktail stick to just dab it into the middle of some of them, just to add a bit of colour back in as a bit of a different technique. So I'm just going to work my way round, adding in some dots of colour, just to see what effect it has. It's always fun to play with different colours, different techniques. And you can see that some of them have spread quite far. I'm going to try with the blue now. I'm going to pop some little blue dots on. And I'm quite excited to see what the gold does, because I always think black and gold work really well together. Okay, last few blue ones. Quickly take off some of the colour off the bottom of that, and we'll go and use the gold one. So again, any dots that I haven't already coloured in, I'm just going to colour in with some blue. I might even add it back over the top of ones that I've already added some colour to. So anywhere where there's a pink or a blue one, I'm just going to add a little bit of gold as well back on, making it up as I go along, if I'm honest. But that is sometimes the best way of doing crafts, not having a preconceived idea as to what it is you're actually going to achieve. What do you fancy doing? What would you like to do? Where would you want to put the colour? What is calling to you as you're doing it? So there we go. That's pretty much most of the gold used up. I think that's done. I'm only going to do it on one of the bead just to see how it turns out. And there we go. That's what it now looks like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let these beads all completely and utterly dry. I'm going to glaze them, and then I will come back and I will show you them all when they are glazed. Here we go. These are what the beads look like. Now I have glazed them, and I have also added some gold to them just to give them a little bit of an extra dimension. So we'll come to that one in a minute. So these are the ones where I literally just added the bleach and I bleached the colour out, and I think it has given them a really nice colour. I mean, I know that's a bit of a weird thing to say, but because it's the lack of colour, but I think the way that it's just dispersed and the way that you've got the kind of gaps around it, they're quite it's quite kind of animal print like in many ways. So yeah, I think these are a definite winner, and I think this is a technique that I am definitely going to do again, and I think I will also try it on different colours, because you can imagine if you had like a purple colour and you could try and bleach the colour out of that, and that would look really funky as well. So this one here is the one where after I had bleached the colour out, I then added some alcohol inks, and initially I wasn't that enamoured with it. I wasn't really kind of thinking, yeah, I quite like that. But actually now I've glazed it and now I've actually added a little bit of gold over the top. I quite like it. I do quite like it. Still not my favourite. I still prefer the plainer versions, but these are the versions that we have come up with. So I'm just going to scan in a little bit closer so that you can see them all, and I will do a nice proper picture at the end. But there we go, that is your first technique for February of using black beads, and how we can maybe change them and how we can kind of liven it up a little bit, because sometimes black beads can just look a little flat. But yeah, stay tuned, because coming next week have I got a super fun tutorial for you next week, and you will not believe what I'm going to do to the beads next week. So next Sunday will be number 2 of 4 of the black bead series. And what I will also say is that if you have an idea for what coloured beads you would like me to work on next after I've done my series on black beads, leave comments in the box below, and I will look at them all and respond to them, and I will maybe make a decision as to what colour I work on next. But for now, that's it. Speak to you soon. Bye.